Ah, the Roman Empire. Imagine sprawling landscapes bathed in Mediterranean sunshine, impressive aqueducts and legions of soldiers marching in perfect formation. From Britain to North Africa, Rome was the superpower for centuries. They had roads, laws, plumbing. What more could you want? A longer-lasting empire, perhaps? Sadly, history had other plans. Rome wasn't built in a day, and it certainly didn't crumble in one either. The seeds of its decline were sown over centuries, like weeds in a particularly unruly garden, and like a neglected garden, things were about to get messy. Imagine a government so riddled with corruption, it would make a modern politician blush. That was Rome in its twilight years. Think backstabbing senators, emperors being declared faster than you could say Veci, and taxes that would make even the wealthiest citizen weep into their toga. The economy wasn't faring much better. Constant wars and lavish spending drained the treasury faster than a leaky amphora. Inflation soared like an eagle on a hot day, and the once mighty denarius became about as valuable as a lead coin in a chariot race. Remember those impressive legions? Well, they started having recruitment issues. It seems conquering the world had lost its luster. Who knew? To make matters worse, they began employing foreign mercenaries. Now, mercenaries can be great warriors, but their loyalty? Let's just say it had a price tag, and it wasn't cheap. With morale low and discipline waning, the Roman army began to resemble a slightly disorganized but well-equipped group of tourists, rather than the formidable force it once was. Section 4. Barbarians at the gates and windows, probably. Meanwhile, outside the empire, things were getting a tad hairy. The once mighty Roman Empire, with its grand cities and sprawling territories, was starting to feel the pressure from all sides. Waves of people from beyond the borders, whom the Romans charmingly called barbarians, started making themselves comfortable. These groups were not just passing through, they were looking for new homes, new opportunities, and they were willing to fight for them. These weren't your average weekend tourists either. They came with their families, their livestock, and their entire way of life, ready to settle and make the Roman lands their own. We're talking Goths, Vandals, Huns groups, with names that sounded like heavy metal bands, and had an equal capacity for shaking things up. Each tribe had its own unique culture, fighting style, and ambitions, making the situation even more complex for the Romans. Imagine trying to hold back a tidal wave with a sieve. That was the Roman army facing these determined newcomers. The Roman legions, once the epitome of military might, were now stretched thin, struggling to defend their vast borders against relentless invasions. And leading the charge? None other than Attila the Hun, a man who made Genghis Khan look like a party planner. Attila's reputation for brutality and his strategic genius made him a formidable foe, one that the Romans had never encountered before. His campaigns left a trail of destruction and fear, forever changing the landscape of Europe. Section 5, from Caesar to... key players in the drama? And now let's rewind a bit. We can't forget Julius Caesar, the man who crossed the Rubicon and made Rome his own personal stage. His bold move set the stage for the transformation of the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire. Caesar's ambition and military prowess were unmatched, and his legacy still echoes through history. Then came Constantine, who adopted Christianity and moved the party east to Constantinople, much to the chagrin of Rome. Constantine's reign marked a significant shift in the empire's religious landscape, and his establishment of Constantinople as the new capital signaled the beginning of the Byzantine Empire. But by 476 AD, the big cheese in the west was a chap named Romulus Augustulus, a name so grand it could only belong to the last emperor of the Western Roman Empire. His reign was short and largely insignificant, symbolizing the end of an era and the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Talk about anticlimactic. It's like naming your pet goldfish Jaws. The fall of Rome was a slow and painful process, and Romulus Augustulus was merely the final nail in the coffin. The once mighty empire had crumbled, leaving behind a legacy that would shape the future of Europe for centuries to come. Section 6. 476 AD, it's all over, but the gladiatorial combat, which is also over. This year marks a significant turning point in history, a moment when the grandeur of Rome finally succumbed to the relentless march of time. So there you have it. After centuries of glory, the Western Roman Empire breathed its last breath. The bustling marketplaces, the grand forums, and the mighty legions all faded into the annals of history. Was it the internal strife? The economic woes? The relentless barbarian invasions? Or perhaps a combination of all these factors that led to the downfall of such a mighty empire? Or maybe it was just one of those historical inevitabilities like bad hair days and reality TV. The decline was gradual yet inevitable as the empire struggled to maintain its vast territories and diverse populations. Whatever the reason, 476 AD marks the end of an era. The sun set on the Roman Empire, casting long shadows over its once glorious cities and monuments. The once mighty empire fragmented into smaller kingdoms, each vying for power and control over the remnants of Roman civilization. And the world braced itself for the Middle Ages, a time of knights, castles, and a new social order that would shape the future of Europe. Don't worry, it gets more interesting. Just wait until we talk about the Vikings. Their raids and explorations would add a new chapter to the ever-evolving story of human history.